Hello, Awaken family. My name is Brian Hagstead. Today we're continuing our study in the books of Kings, and we're focusing this section on 2 Kings, chapters 18 through 20. And this section really looks at the life of Hezekiah. In the last study, I actually spoke about the northern kingdoms falling to Assyria. And we're left with Judah as a vassal nation to Assyria. And at this point in time, Hezekiah becomes king. And things are bad. It's a tumultuous time. They're not following God. Other gods are being worshipped. Edomites have infested the area. And Hezekiah actually does what's right in the eyes of the Lord. He leads a massive scale return to worship for Judah. He destroys altars, he destroys molten images, he even destroys the bronze serpent that Moses made way back in Exodus that I didn't even realize was still around. And we're told in 2 Kings 18, 5 and 6, he trusted in the Lord, the God of Israel, so that after them there was none like him among all the kings in Judah, nor among any that were before him. He clung to the Lord, and he did not depart from him, but kept his commandments. Now, while Hezekiah is in office, Assyria is trying to do everything they can to get Judah. They got the northern kingdoms. They've got 10 of the tribes. There's only 2 remaining, and they want them. And for 14 years, Hezekiah resists, and he successfully resists Assyria. And then we're told in 2 Kings 18:13, Assyria comes up against Judah and seizes it. And Hezekiah decides to relent. This must have been a massive seizure, because later we're told that God's going to kill 185,000 Assyrians that are camped there. So this is a massive amount of Assyrians that come up against them. And Hezekiah relents, and he says to Sennacherib, the king of Assyria that's there, "We've done wrong in your sight. Just tell us what you want, and we'll give it to you, but you have to leave." And Sennacherib names his price. And his price is 300 talents of silver and 30 talents of gold. Now, to put this into modern perspectives, this is 10 metric tons of silver and 1 metric ton of gold, approximately. And Hezekiah does something really bad. He goes and he literally starts pulling apart the temple of God to pay off the Assyrians. And he pays them off, and guess what? They don't keep their side of the promise. And Sennacherib sends his official, Rabshakeh, with a large army to demand their surrender. And Hezekiah won't come out and meet him, but Rabshakeh makes some demands to the people who are there. He reminds them that the northern tribes have fallen to Assyria already, that Asher, their god, is now in control of Yahweh. What's going to keep Judah from being conquered like the northern tribes were conquered? They take this news poorly, and they go and tell Hezekiah, and Hezekiah rips his garments, he covers himself in sackcloth and ashes, and he goes and seeks out the advice of Isaiah, who was prophesying at this time. And Isaiah tells him, don't worry about those Assyrians. Our God is the one living true God. We don't need to be concerned with them. He says, God is going to triumph. They are blaspheming against Yahweh. And he tells Hezekiah, Sennacherib's going to go back to his homeland, and he's going to fall by his sword in his own hometown. Hezekiah goes to the temple, and he starts to pray. 2 Kings 19:19. Now, O Lord our God, I pray, deliver us from his hand, Sennacherib's hand, that all the kingdoms of the earth may know that you alone are God. I love Hezekiah's prayer here. He asks not for his own glory, not for his own protection, but that God will save them so that they will know that Yahweh is the only God. And God hears him, and he responds to him through Isaiah. And God's response is frankly rather terrifying, but also hopeful. He says in 2 Kings 19:28, "Because of your raging against me, because your arrogance has come up to my ears, I will put my hook in your nose and my bridle in your lips, and I will turn you back the way you came." Whew. That's not the message that I want to get from God. But God also says, I will defend this city for my name's sake. Hezekiah's prayer is being answered. He prayed the right thing. And he says, also for the sake of my servant David. And remember, God honors his covenants. The Davidic covenant says someone from the line of David will sit on that throne of Israel. And God will protect and keep his covenants even when we are failing to keep ours. Now, the news that God has given comes true. That night, an angel of the Lord goes into the Assyrian camp and kills 185,000 Assyrians. And Sennacherib and his team wake up to this and they flee. They get out of there. And next, we jump to Hezekiah and he's become ill. And he prays to God and asks that God give him more life. And God actually grants his petition. We're told he adds 15 years to his life in 2 Kings 20:16. But after Hezekiah's recovery, he's visited by the Babylonians. And we're told that God was testing Hezekiah's heart in this visit. That's from 2 Chronicles, actually, that I'm pulling that. That's 32:31. Hezekiah invites in the Babylonians and he shows them everything. He shows them all the treasuries of the house, all the treasuries of the temple, just everything in the kingdom. We're told there's nothing left that Hezekiah doesn't show to him. Then Isaiah shows up. He says, Hezekiah, what have you done? And Hezekiah tells him, I showed him everything. And Isaiah says in 2 Kings 20:16 and 17, hear the word of the Lord. Behold, the days are coming when all that is left in your house and all that your fathers have laid up in store to this day will be carried to Babylon. Nothing will be left. He continues to say his sons are going to be taken and they're going to serve in Babylon. And Hezekiah responds to this in a very surprising way. He responds to it with great humility. He actually says in 2 Kings 20:19, the word of the Lord that you have spoken is good. He recognizes that judgment is necessary in order for the nation to have peace and truth. At the end of this section, Hezekiah passes and he leaves his kingdom of Judah to his son Manasseh. That's everything we have.